Hey guys, what is good? I hope you're all doing absolutely amazing and are trading safely in the markets. It's your boy VGOK and I'm back with another video again for you guys. Now this video is going to be like the two videos ago. It's a market outlook video. Kind of be expecting these sort of videos weekly. So yeah, it'll be another market outlook video. I'm going to be going through the news events of the following week and having a look at any pairs to see if there's any nice key zones, such as supply and demand zones, points of interest, any key imbalance areas as well. And also, like I said before, if you want early access to these sorts of calls along with live trading calls, then please do drop me a DM on my Instagram with the word mentorship, and I'll be able to get back to you and see what the best way is to help you out. But without all being said, let's jump straight into the market outlook. So yeah, looking at the news for next week, it's going to be a big week next week. We've got NFP next week. It's the first Friday of the new month. So on Friday we're going to have the US dollar unemployment rate coming out. So expect some big moves around then on Friday. That's going to be the main thing for the week. And then obviously NZD on Wednesday. If you trade that, we've got the interest rates coming out for New Zealand dollar. It is at 2 AM UK time, so beware of that. And obviously the Aussie dollar cash rates on Tuesday as well. And then we've got a couple other news events for the US dollar sort of dotted around as well. So we're going to have a look and see what effect those have as well on the markets. But yeah, pretty big sort of news week. But ideally, I'm going to be targeting, there's going to be a lot of volatility on Friday for the NFP move around this time here. So yeah, let's have a quick look into the chart. So starting off on Gbpusd. Yeah, starting off on GU, I want to see what happens in this region now. Now that we've filled in imbalance in this region, if we're going to start to go down from this 15-minute supply zone in here. Or if we're going to travel slightly higher up and try and fill in some of this imbalance up in here. Really want to see what happens now, whether we can still consolidate and maybe go a bit higher, or if we start to drop from here, then we'll look to get in on some sort of sells for Gbpusd. Now the main point of interest which we sort of saw price get into was this base drop here. So on the 2-hour time from here we can see that drop, this little doji candle acting as the base, and then the drop, which takes out this previous demand over here. You see this was demand, it created a higher high, big movement up in price in this region here, and then this was the area that took that out, and we saw price get into that on Friday actually of last week. So when we actually have a look into it, and we can see there's a really nice buy to sell candle within, approaching the zone, big break of structure to the downside, and now it's retraced back up. We can look at looking for some sell opportunities right now. I won't be too surprised if it does go slightly higher up into that region, filling in some of this imbalance. Obviously on the smaller time frames there's going to be some other price action in here as well. So let's see whether we can get any respect of that, or if it's ready to start dropping now, then that would be cool too, and we'll just sort of look where we can play any sort of potential entries. At the moment, looking at it right now, I definitely want to see what happens in this region here. I know we've tapped it already here, so maybe it is ready to go. We're gonna have to see how market opens tonight. So yeah, when market opens tonight for Forex pairs, we'll see how this moves, whether it's going to gap up into this area and then drop, or whether it's ready already to start showing us the bearish moves. Then we'll see if it starts to go down, and if it does, then we'll look to just play it accordingly. But yeah, they're the sort of zones that we're looking at. I'm pretty much in key zones already at the moment. Yeah, so moving on to US dollar JPY now. Now there's a lot of consolidation on Friday. It was just stuck in this zone. If you go to like an hourly time frame, the whole week was consolidating in this region. So it's a very long sort of week if you're just looking at UJ on its own. But yeah, now what we've seen, it's gone above this trend line right here right now. So I want to see exactly what happens when price can get into that region. So yeah, looking at this for UJ, it's just gone above the trend line right in here. It's just gone above this trend line, so whether we can see a manipulation above the trend line and then a drop, or whether we're going to see continuations upwards. So this may be looking at that rally, reaccumulation, and then a further rally up. Again, it's not quite touched sort of fully been in this zone yet, so I want to see what happens when it does this imbalance fill for UJ up in here. That'll be very interesting to see as well. So not looking at too much on UJ really, mainly this as the selling zone for this. But the main thing that happened last week for DXY was it getting into that monthly point of interest. So if I take the zones off, you can see the monthly point of interest which we had was this buy to sell region up in here. Last week price got into there and we saw a big rejection down, and we actually were able to catch the sell-off on DXY up in this region here for the sell-off, to catch all that move down, and we were looking to buy EU and sort of sell UJ and stuff like that. But yeah, as you can see, it was a really nice reaction actually up in that monthly zone. As soon as price got into this region, big breaker structure down, and we were looking to sell the dollar at this sort of time here. And I'll go over the sort of the buys that we had on EU in just a sec. But yeah, DXY is looking good. It's looking very bearish. Its continuation moves are very strong as well. So let's see whether this will look to continue the trend. There is a 1 hour and 2 hour demand zone in this region as well. So let's see whether we can actually get price coming into this region here, show some bullishness, to get some more higher retracements, and then see a further sell-off to the downside. Yeah, moving on to EURUSD. So the buys we were talking about, they were in here to catch the buys up, which I'll go through later on. But just looking at where price is right now, obviously we've started to see this big aggressive movement up for EURUSD, mainly due to the fact of DXY distributing in that monthly zone and coming down. So maybe this is the start of all the XXX USD pairs starting to come up finally and finding some strength again finally. So let's see whether that can happen. We have reached this region in here, which I believe is, I think it's a daily zone if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, so this daily based drop is what this candlestick's based on, this point of interest. So we've got that drop, and then we've got this doji candle in between, and then a drop off again. So let's see whether we can get price coming into there, showing a distribution starting to form. We've already seen a little rejection form with this candle here. So let's see what the next daily candle will bring, and see if we can get a continuation downwards, or if it is going to break the structure, break the point of interest, then we'll look to play the continuation trades to the upside from this movement up. So that's what it looks like. Higher time frame for EURUSD. Lower time frames, this is what I've got pretty much. Obviously the buys are from down here, and then just sort of looking to play as sort of new price action is sort of confirmed. So we do have this buy to sell region in here, so I'm going to mark up something in there. But let's have a look at the 45-minute first and clean up some of this chart as well. So we do have equal highs in this region here. So let's see, and we have reacted successfully from this demand. So I do think these highs will get taken out. But so it's just a case of where can we see continuation buys sort of starting to form. And having a quick look at this, I feel like maybe we can start to trade back into this region in here. We've got a nice sell to buy candle in there as well. And looking at the 1 minute, there is still some imbalance within there that's not been filled in. So maybe we can see price revisiting this region in here. And let's see if we can actually see price getting in there. Obviously taking out liquidity below these lows in here would be nice. And let's see what happens if price can actually get back in there, give some deeper retracements, and get back in on these nice buys to take out these equal highs at the top. Moving on to Usdjpy, and let's just move it to the daily time frame to see what we've got. Now this is a nice area it's coming to. We've got a previously analyze supply zone over here. So we're going to see what happens when price reaches that zone. It's good to probably set an alert there as well, seeing how close it is so we know when it happens. And then moving down the time frames, you can see what it's based off of. This last 4 hour wick, you can see that there's definitely some sort of trend line forming in this region here going down. Whether it was sort of in this region here, there's got 1, 2, 3 touches of the trend line, and then this wick goes above the trend line to manipulate, and then a big sharp drop downwards, really showing the direction of the move. So we'll see what happens if we can get any distribution forming within that supply zone. As we go into lower time frames, you can see how price slowed down in this region. It was very impulsively coming up, and then it started to consolidate, started to slow down. So which is always a good sign, which is what you want to see when you see price approaching your zones. So let's see what happens with that, and let's see if we can see price distribute within there. On the flip side of the bullish side of things, when we change it to a 30-minute time frame, we can start to see how this zone here got respect. We saw a nice sell to buy manipulation within there as well. So again, I'm just going to see whether price can get any bullish confirmations in this demand zone here. Just looking at the 30-minute, got a nice base rally demand zone in there, and yeah, for EJ I think that looks pretty good. We're going to look to play within those sort of key zones right in there. Yeah, moving on to Gbpjpy now, and starting off from the daily time frame. This daily supply zone up here, we've got equal highs as we can see above this line. So the liquidity sitting there, we can see this bullish candle here on the daily. This daily bullish candle here takes out any sort of liquidity sitting above there, and then we see the aggressive drop in the downwards direction, in the opposite direction following that. And we do have a bit of liquidity sitting just above these wicks as well, so when we go into a lower time frame it'll be easier to sort of see those equal highs. As you can see on the hourly, they look like that, and going back to the daily, it just looks like those two wicks. So again, see what happens when price gets back up into this zone, see some distributions hopefully. Once we see the confirmation of that, then we'll look to play some sort of sells, some sort of shorts on GJ. But yeah, the one other thing I want to say is that we had a very aggressive sort of movement up on the daily, as you can see with this wick, very strong rejection up. So it does depend how it approaches this sell zone. If it comes up very quickly, we'll have to just reanalyze and just wait till it slows down hopefully. And if that's not the case, then we'll look to play some continuation buys, which I'm going to go into right now. So going down a couple time frames to the hourly, and we can see here there was a nice supply zone here which was taken out, and it's now turned into a demand zone because that's obviously disproved this previous supply. So looking at that, you know, I did want it to come into this region in here. It hasn't quite done that yet, so whether it's ready to do that or if that is indeed the reaction, you can see the breaks of structure probably a lot clearer on the 5-minute. So as we look at this movement here, and let's get rid of this zone, you know, you can see the lower highs and lower lows in this leg here, in this sort of swing of movement in here, and so this significant lower high, you know, you can see it was taken out in this move. We saw the retracement and then the bullish move to follow. So when we change it round to, let's check the 10-minute time frame, I think that will be good. I think the 5-minute is actually pretty good there. So when we look at that, I think the demand zone that I'm kind of seeing is definitely something within this region here. You know, liquidity below this wick, and hopefully we can look to get into this area once more to see any confirmation of bullishness. That's where I'd look to see you know, some nice bullish moves from. You know, that's the key area which went higher, push price higher. Ideally we want to be breaking above this and then getting a retracement in. That would be ideal for this buy zone here, but otherwise, you know, if it does decide to continue down, then we'll look within this zone here for GJ. But on the whole, that's pretty much it for GJ. And now let's have a quick look at some indices for next week as well. As you can see, indices have been in a very, very bearish market. Did have a small buy position for a 1 to 6 on Friday, fairly late in the day as well, so after New York Open. But yeah, hit the first TP and then it went to go break even the rest of the position. So it took a small percentage gain out of this little trade in here. But yeah, apart from that, I didn't have much else on indices last week. But yeah, looking on the higher time frames and stuff, we can see how bearish it really is. You know, especially Nasdaq, it's gone below this low. You know, this break of structure to the upside didn't really mean anything. It was just a retracement of this major impulse. So as you can see, it's continued to go downwards. Now we've got a couple of things we need to think about. First of all, I'm going to delete this previous analysis to clean up the chart. And basically what we can see here is it's now finally gone below this low. So it's either going to be breaking below the low, breaking structure, and then we see continuation style trades to the downside, or we're going to see whether it's going to start to manipulate below this low, take liquidity out, and then have a sharp movement upwards. So if we see a break of structure to the upside, we know that this was just liquidity at the bottom, and it's basically just looked to take that out. And I believe there is equal lows, so you can see with this penultimate candle right in here, the wick of that candle and then the wick of this line up nicely for equal lows. So this last candle is going to be the liquidity capturing candle, and then if we do see the sharp movement up, then we can look to sort of get into some sort of buy positions. But yeah, when we look at the smaller time frame, we can see on the 4-hour the equal lows are a lot more obvious to spot, sort of right in there. So equal lows in there, and the last 4-hour candle right here we can actually see is the one that took price out, and we're hopefully going to be seeing a sharp move in the opposite direction for that liquidity capture, and that might be the start of Nasdaq maybe going bullish, but it means nothing until we see the sharp move in the opposite direction. So that and then on the flip side of things, for the bearish side of things, if we're looking to continue this downtrend, simply I think it's just about looking at the most logical areas in terms of points of interest. Obviously we had a nice reaction from this zone here. First entry of the zone, it came into here, gave a rejection down, and then we had another manipulative move over here. So I'm going to have a look at this manipulation in a bit more detail now on a smaller time frame. So let's go down to this 15-minute, and right in there I think it's a good time frame to stop out there. We can see the liquidity forming at this trend line, and then this buy to sell manipulation, which took price out, took out the liquidity, got back into the supply zone up into here, took out any liquidity above these highs as well up in here as well, and then the sharp movement down showing a new lower low in the trend. So definitely if we're looking at continuation style trades and that, we want to be looking within sort of this next supply zone in here, I'd say. That would be a nice area to look into. So yeah, good. Again, setting the alerts within that region to see if we can get any movement within there, any distribution starting to form within there as well. And then looking at SPX as well. I haven't really looked at SPX as much. Probably in NAS and US30 the ones I look at the most. But again, it's looking fairly similar on this, and we are reaching this demand zone on SPX. So maybe on Nasdaq there'll be a demand zone as well forming just below where we are right now. So just looking at this right in here, this SPX demand zone, nice sell to buy candle in there. I think when we look at the weekly it might be a bit clearer. There we go. Yeah, weekly you can see the manipulative sell to buy candle right in there. So yeah, ideally we want to see what happens in there if we see any bullish movement. Otherwise, again, just continuing this downtrend that we can see when you change to the 4-hour and the hourly, this downtrend here. It's just taken out this recent low, so let's see if we can get continuation, maybe a small retracement up and then a sell-off to continue the trend. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're looking at for SPX, and looking at key areas for that, I'll definitely be looking within this area here for the sells. So looking within this supply zone, we've got that drop, redistribution, then a drop, which takes out these previous demand areas in here. So I want to see what happens with that. Yeah, we'll see if we can get price retracing up to there, but apart from that, not looking at too much else, to be honest. And then lastly on US30, I think it's pretty much similar on all of the indices, to be honest. When we look at the daily and the weekly, so yeah, daily rally-based rally we can see is the first zone in this black box here in the entire weekly demand zone, which is this sell to buy region, which looks pretty good. So definitely want to be seeing what happens when we reach this bullish sort of demand zone. Very close to it now, we're approaching it very soon, so let's see whether we're going to get some reversals starting to form on indices, which will be interesting to see, hopefully. But yeah, otherwise, again, same story as the other ones, looking at those continuation sell style trades for the sell side. And the main thing I can sort of see is going to be this on the 30-minute time frame, I feel, and it's going to be this candle within here as the first one that's sort of closest to current price. We can see that there was some nice sort of even trend line sort of forming in this rough area here. It wasn't too bad and it was looking all good. A couple touches of the trend line, then this buy to sell manipulation creating that new lower low right in there. And then as we change to the 15-minute and 5-minute, there may be some other areas which I want to look at, especially this one in here. So here we can see definite sort of drop, redistribution of price in here, and then the drop which takes out this demand and this demand in here. So yeah, this is going to be another zone to look at in between there. So yeah, definitely worth setting some alerts there as well. But yeah, apart from that, I'm not looking at too much else. But yeah, I think that will conclude the market outlook portion of this video. So there we have that full breakdown of the pairs and the indices that I'm looking at for this week. Now again, I'll say it again, if you're someone that wants to benefit from these sorts of calls along with live trading calls before they're actually released on YouTube, then please do drop me a message on my Instagram saying mentorship and we'll discuss things further. But with that being said, if you guys enjoyed this video and found value, then please do give it a like and don't forget to subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video for more of that trading sauce.